Hey everybody, Rorree here with the Goddess Isis Coven, and I don't know what part we're on. Okay, but we are in story time, and it's called I Am Isis. So let's see. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, just go back to one and come on and catch up. But I am Isis. I'm the incarnation of Isis in this lifetime. And this morning I was given some guidance to talk about things that would help us to relieve stress. So one of the things that I do is I have a space. I actually have a few spaces in my home where I call it like my safe space or my sanctuary space, and I do my prayer work. I might do my journaling. I do my candles. I have, I burn incense and burn other herbs and things like that. I might, like all these things I do in this space. I do my prayer work in this space, my breath work in this space. And so I want to encourage you to have a space where you feel good and that the vibration in the space feels good, and that you could do your stuff, you could do your work, and you could be one with spirit, with source creator, with your ancestors, guides, and your angels, with any deities that you connect with. So have a space just for that, but also have a time where you set aside to do just those things. All right. And I encourage people to at least take an hour a day for yourself in your safe space. Now, your safe space could be in your home or it could be in your car. I have a friend, her safe space is in her car because in her home, everybody's always calling upon her and she doesn't really get a moment to herself. So she will take her moments and go to her car and be one with self, one with spirit in her car. Now, I remember there was a time where I was living in someone else's space and the energy in the space wasn't conducive for me to have a safe space. The energy was just not good. All right. And I'm not going to go any deeper into that. So what I did was I went to the SGI Center in not downtown, but in Washington, D.C. on Embassy Row. I would go there every Thursday and I would stay there for 3 to 4 hours. Now, I remember back in the day, President Ikeda said that if you chant Daimoku, which is Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, if you chant Daimoku 3 times, great things can happen. If you chant Daimoku for 1 hour, amazing things can happen. But if you chant Daimoku for 3 hours, miracles could happen. And back then, I had this journal, and all I did in the journal was I wrote my desires in this journal, and I would check them off as they happen. It was so much fun. But after I heard that President Ikeda said that, I always spent one day, it was always on a Thursday, and I would chant Daimoku for 3 hours. So I decided that every Thursday I would go to the SGI Center and I would just chant my Daimoku. And I would sit there by myself. I'd have my journal and whatever. And I would just sit there and I'd chant Daimoku. And then I would just sit and be. Sometimes I would just sit and journal, just being in a space that felt high vibrational. And that's what I had to do for myself. So if you live in a place that does not feel good, the energy feels funky. You might live with people that their energy is not good, or it could be spirits or something in the house that are just low vibrational, and you just don't feel like it's a pleasant space. If you are like that, then do what I did. And I was in a situation like that for over a year. And so that's what I did for myself, because at least once a week. Now, I used to do prayer, breath work, chanting, Daimoku, something every day for at least 1 hour, usually 2 hours every day. And I went from that to having to go once a week because I could not do it in this space. It just, I can't, I understand why, but I'm not going to get into that here. But anyway, so I want to encourage you to have a good, safe space light some candles, make it smell the way you want it to smell. Make sure that it is tidy to your liking, you know, that you don't feel crazy. It could be in a closet, you know, but just make sure you feel great in the space and take the time to be with yourself. You know, I used to meditate in my closet. I forget what house I was in. I think I was in Sacramento. And I used to go into my closet, and it was a walk-in closet, and I would lay on the floor on my back, my knees would be up, and I would meditate for an hour, because at the time I was attending the Berkeley Psychic Institute and learning about my gifts. And I laid there and I did the work on myself, and then I would just be there for an hour. And I remember, like, while I would do that, different people's energy would come to me. Different messages for different people would come to me. And back then we didn't have talk texting. So I remember I used to like roll over and write down in my journal, whatever, you know, about the person. And then I'd go back into my state, and then I'd have to get up and write something else so that I would remember when, you know, it was over. And then after my session with Spirit, I would call all the people and say, hey, I got this message for you today. Hey, I got this message for you today. And I remember sometimes, and I know I'm off topic right now, but I remember sometimes I would get messages and the messages would not leave me alone until I broke my session and called the person and told them the message. I used to be like, really? So, but anyway, so definitely have a space that you could call your own, that you feel at peace in, where you can do your spiritual work, where you can connect with Source Creator, with Mother, Father, God, with your ancestors, guides, and the angels. Okay, so that's all for that one. I'll see y'all in the next one.